Chances are you clicked on this video because you are living in a state of survival. You're tired of feeling tired all the time. You're tired of feeling anxious and stressed all the time. And that was the case for me for 20 years. And somehow I broke out of the cycle, and you can too. So in this video, I'm gonna be breaking down 3 of the most important habits I built. Let's get into the groundwork of how you actually build a habit. 1, you have to be consistent, aka you have to stick with it. And 2, it has to be broken down into baby steps so that you actually implement it into your life. For example, if you told a morbidly obese person that they had to go to the gym 6 times a week, it would be almost impossible to stick with unless you had some insane discipline. Instead, you might start off with saying something like, okay, tomorrow I want you to go for a 5-minute walk. Next week, I want you to go on a 15-minute walk. And maybe on the 3rd week, you actually go to the gym and you do a 20-minute workout. That way, it's something you can stick with. So in these 3 habits that I'm going to teach you that help me live out of survival mode, I'm going to break down the week-by-week methods of implementation. So 1, we're going to start with cold showers. Now, why cold showers? So cold showers basically increase your ability to deal with stress. Because it's not that stress is bad, but your ability to deal with it is practically non-existent. So you stay in a state of survival, which is toxic for your body. Not only that, cold showers increase your dopamine, gives you a better high than cocaine because it can increase your baseline dopamine by as much as 200%, while cocaine can only increase your baseline dopamine by 150%. And it's also really good for your skin and your hair. Week 1, because the first time I took a cold shower, I was like, yep, fuck that, never doing that again. I just felt the cold water on my hands and I was just like, just no. So I realized I had to ease myself into it. So for the first week, I want you to just stick to your regular warm shower routine. Now I am hoping that you shower. If you don't, I might need a face mask when I'm next to you. No, I'm joking, I love you. But okay, I'm hoping most of you shower. If you don't, you dirty gal, what are you doing? Okay, so let's assume that you shower. When you shower, just take note of how you feel, how the warm shower feels and how it feels on your skin. Try to not think about the sensation. On your week 2, I want you to just take a lukewarm shower. Now, what do I mean by lukewarm? Not too hot, not too cold. It shouldn't be uncomfortably cold and it definitely shouldn't be warm. It should just be a very neutral temperature. And I just want you to take that shower and do your regular routine with that temperature. Now in week 3, you're gonna do the lukewarm shower, and then for at least 30 seconds, you're gonna shift it to cold water. Just 30 seconds at the end of your shower. So do your soap, do your shampoo, and at the end of your shower, shift it to cold. Now, when you shift it to cold, try to focus on your breath and try to not resist the cold feeling. Try to not push away the uncomfortable feeling. You have to embrace that. The more you resist, the more difficult you're making the experience for yourself. 4, I want you to increase the amount of time you spend in the cold water. So you did 30 seconds last week. This week, I want you to spend at least a minute in the cold water. It might be too much to ask, but because you've eased yourself into it, it's going to be much easier. Where I'm getting these principles from, by the way, is from a book called Atomic Habits, which was by James Clear, and it teaches you how to create tiny changes to build the habits you want in your life. Week 5, you're gonna do no lukewarm water. You can start with the lukewarm water just to weigh your body, but at the end, for 2 minutes, you're going to do only cold water. Now, if you've got to this point, I have faith in you and you can do it. And I want you to do this consistently. If you feel like it's too hard to do every single day of the week, do it every other day of the week, but never miss twice. Missing once is a mistake. Missing twice is a habit. Only miss once if you do decide to do it every other day. Now, I prefer doing it at the start of my day because when you have a cold water or when you have a cold shower, you just feel energized. You just feel like you can take on the day. So whenever you're under that cold water and you're feeling that stress, like you're feeling it, whenever you feel stressful situations happen in your life, in your job, whether your kid's shouting at you, whether your boss pisses you off, whether your friends pisses you off, whether your partner pisses you off, you have the ability to tolerate that stress. It increases your stress tolerance, and that is what you need for your nervous system. So the second habit I want you to build is eating food for how you feel. Now, I'm sure you've all had this dilemma. Should I go vegan? Should I go paleo? Should I go keto? What I can tell you is at each end of the spectrum, you can find an equally educated doctor or MD or individual arguing for a keto diet, saying the vegan diet is bad, and then an equally educated individual saying that the vegan diet is good and the keto diet is bad. Now, I don't know which diet might be the best, but I do know what all these diets have in common. They took out the processed foods, they took out the canned and packaged foods, took out the palm oils and vegetable oils and vegetable fats, and instead everyone's eating whole foods, and that's what is actually making them feel better. Now, if you're used to eating fast food and you're used to eating processed food and you're used to eating sugar, asking you to eat a bunch of healthy whole food straight away is going to be very difficult. So instead, let me tell you a few of the reasons why eating healthy food is actually good for you. 1. 95% of your serotonin. If you don't know what serotonin is the thing that makes you feel peaceful and happy. And that is made in your gut. And why that's important is serotonin is why you feel calm and you are grateful for your present experience and you feel a state of well-being. You need serotonin for that. So whenever you eat processed foods or whenever you drink, you damage your gut. And then what that happens is your gut talks to your brain more than your brain talks to your gut. So if there's not enough serotonin being produced in your gut is telling your brain to be unhappy. And being unhappy is not what you need if you're already living in fight or flight. Week 1. Educate yourself. Understand what are whole foods. So whole foods are single ingredient foods. Like if I took an apple, the only ingredient in that food is an apple. If I took a processed pork like a sausage, there's probably 10, 20 different ingredients in that sausage alone. So that is processed because it has multiple ingredients. Whole foods have a single ingredient. Week 1, just educate yourself on whole foods. When you go grocery shopping, buy a few whole foods that you think you'd like and just educate yourself. That's all you have to do for week 1. Just carry on with your usual diet, but look into what are whole foods and some whole foods that you would consider trying. Week 2, let's say you have 3 meals a day. One of those meals, I want you to have only whole foods. So let's say it's dinner. So for dinner, you might have broccoli, cauliflower, and some salmon, say. But they're all whole foods, they're not processed. You can have your usual breakfast and lunch, but for 1 week, for week 2, I want you to have one meal that is just whole foods. Week 3, instead, if you are someone that snacks on like processed carbohydrates and refined sugars like chocolate and candy bars and crisps, instead of having that as your snacks, eat fruits, replace it with fruits. And just a side tip, it is much easier to not eat processed food and junk food that is bad for your body if it's not in your environment. If you have a packet of cookies in your cupboard, it is so much easier to eat that packet of cookies compared to if the packet of cookies was not in your cupboard. So remove them from your environment. Just get them out of your house. Like once you stop eating processed foods, your taste buds actually resensitize and fruit starts tasting like sugar, especially after you do like a fast, which is really good for your body as well, because if you fast, it activates autophagy, a good way to reset your gut. But maybe I'll do a video on fasting in the future because it's really helpful. And people have asked me to on my TikTok. So week 4, instead of having one meal that is whole foods, you're gonna have 2 meals that is whole foods. So say you have your usual breakfast, say you have, I don't know, breakfast burrito. For lunch and dinner, depending on how many meals you eat, if you eat 2 meals, you're just gonna replace the other meal with also whole foods. Just gonna kind of skip a step. But let's say you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner like most people. 2 of those meals need to be whole foods. Now, if you did week 1 properly and you experimented with different whole foods, you probably find at least a few whole foods that you don't mind. For example, I love lentils, I love broccoli, and I love carrots. I don't really like spinach. I don't really like, I can't think on top of my head, but I don't really like mushrooms. So choose a few whole foods that you like and that you can stick to, and maybe look up dishes and recipes that you can eat with those whole foods and incorporate that into 2 of your meals. On week 5, I want you to make 3 of your meals whole foods. By now, you probably have been eating whole foods and you probably already see the benefits. You already feel better, you already feel less stressed, you feel much happier, and this should motivate you to continue and keep going and keep eating whole foods. Eat for how you feel, not for how it tastes. Your food should give you energy. It shouldn't make you feel tired and sleepy after you had a meal. And what I would say is explore plant-based proteins. Me personally, I'm vegan, so I eat a lot of plants. I eat some eggs, so technically I'm not vegan, I'm vegetarian. So I eat some eggs as long as it's free range, which means it was farmed healthily, and I eat loads of plants and vegetables. That's what I eat. And I noticed that it's made me feel so much better. I feel so much less stressed. I feel so much happier. That's because of the serotonin in my body. And avoid drinking. Drinking destroys your gut lining, and drinking makes you more stressed and anxious whenever you're not drinking. So avoid drinking if you want to heal your gut. Because once you start feeling better internally in your gut, you'll notice yourself going into fight or flight less. Now, the third habit is the most important habit, so pay attention. Okay, so the third habit that I want you to build is meditation and mindfulness. Now, before you think meditation is just Buddhist monks sitting in a monastery, yes, that is meditation, but to me, meditation, it is mindful moment-to-moment awareness of your present experience. Why meditate? If you don't know why you're in fight or flight, there are certain thoughts and actions and triggers and habits that are putting you into fight or flight. And meditation and mindfulness allows you to gain awareness of your thoughts and allows you to gain awareness of which thought patterns lead to which actions that lead to you being in fight or flight. For example, say I have repeated thought patterns of feeling worthless and low, and say to make myself feel better, I always go and grab the cookies in the cookie jar and eat it to make myself feel better. Now, let's say I'm mindful of a thought, a trigger. Let's say I see a really good looking Instagram model. I compare my body to the Instagram model on social media. I start feeling very shit about myself, and I go, in order to make myself feel better with a little bit of dopamine, I go and grab the cookies in the cookie jar. Now, if I meditated, I can maybe notice the thought of me, judging myself, and I can just notice it as a thought, as in I'm separate from the thought. And then I can notice the emotion. Mindfulness allows me to also notice and observe my emotions. So I can also observe jealousy, I can observe aversion, I can observe guilt and shame. And when I notice these emotions, I can choose to let it pass through me like a wave. Because emotions and thoughts are like waves in a sea. Sometimes it's crashing very hard. Sometimes it's crashing very gently. So that's what mindfulness does. And you have to meditate consistently. Because the first time you sit down and meditate, it just sounds like you sitting in a room with your eyes closed. And you're just like, this is just me thinking. This is nothing special. So I've been meditating for years. And I notice a lot of mindfulness, conventional mindfulness, doesn't really help people that have very dysregulated nervous systems, because a lot of conventional mindfulness is almost like trying to make something happen. So I'm actually working on a meditation course to help people with a dysregulated nervous system heal. So a meditation course to specifically help reset your nervous system. I'm working on that at the moment. Meditation is about allowing what is. So how can you incorporate meditation into your daily life? So week 1, what I want you to do is just spend 5 minutes every day. 5 minutes. That's all, just 5 minutes. 5 minutes, I want you to sit down on your bed or a chair or a cushion, whatever is comfortable for you, but don't lie down just in case you fall asleep. Set a timer on your phone for 5 minutes, and I want you to commit to those 5 minutes for you doing absolutely nothing. There's nothing you need to plan. There's nothing, no responsibilities you need to take on for your day. There's nothing you need to do. Literally just take those 5 minutes to pause and just be still and do absolutely nothing. Great meditation apps include Calm, Waking Up. I personally use Waking Up. Meditation teachers I find very helpful is Adi Shanti, Law Kelly, Sam Harris. Use those resources with what you will. I can include links down below. So take 5 minutes just for the first week. And again, keep the rule of never missing twice. If you don't do it one day, you can do it at least every other day, or never skip twice. Now, week 2, we're going to do the same 5 minutes every single day, but instead of doing nothing, you're still going to be doing nothing. I want you to place gentle attention on your breath. Your breath and your mind is very connected. When you are anxious and stressed, your breath is very shallow and you breathe from your upper body. So when you start noticing your breath, your mind also calms. It's like a seesaw. It's like a balance scale. Now, whenever I tell people to focus on their breath, the first obstacle I hear is that I feel like I am controlling my breath. I feel like each time I try to focus on the breath, I almost feel like I'm suffocating and I can't breathe. So instead, I want to take an analogy from Alan Watts. If you look for the breath, you will never find it. But if you let go of the breath, it will come to you. So keep that in mind whenever you're meditating for 5 minutes in the second week. Notice that you don't have to try to do anything. Notice that you don't have to try to focus on your breath. You can let the breath come to you. Make it feel effortless, but don't put effort in to make it feel effortless. Anytime you feel like you're trying too hard or you feel like you can't focus on your breath, go back to doing nothing. That's the whole point, just allowing everything to be as it is. Now, week 3, by this point, you probably have gained some awareness in your body. You probably have learned to breathe maybe from your belly instead of your chest and your shoulders, which is already very calming. Really, you should be belly breathing throughout the day. But hopefully you're doing this. So in week 3, I want you to do a gentle body scan from head to toe of your body. Now, places in our body we tend to hold tension include our eyebrows, our face, our shoulders, and our belly. So in these 5 minutes, actually in this week, you're doing 10 minutes. So we're going to increase it to 10 minutes. I want you to scan your body from head to toe gently and just notice which parts of your body you tend to hold tension most in the body. I notice I mainly hold tension in my belly. I mainly hold tension in my face, my eyebrows, my eyes. Whenever you notice that, gently invite it to relax. Again, you're not trying to make anything happen. You're just letting go. You're just relaxing into it. You don't have to try to make anything happen. Okay? Remember that. Week 4, I want you to set a timer for 10 minutes. And I want you to experiment with guided meditations. You can use my guided meditations, or you can use some helpful resources like Waking Up, Calm, Adi Shanti on YouTube, Loch Kelly on YouTube, their websites. If you find one that works for you, great. I am making a meditation course to specifically help people live out of fight or flight. So hopefully by these few weeks you have that out, but just in case it's not released yet, experiment with guided meditations, and I want you to do it every single day. And by now, if you stick to this, because I promise you that if you stick to this and you stay consistent with it, you will notice yourself being in fight or flight significantly less, and that should motivate you to continue going on the journey. Now, there's so many more habits and there's so many more tips and tricks that I use to help me live out of survival mode. So if you want to learn more about that, all my links will be down below, and make sure you subscribe and listen to this weekly podcast on how I left survival mode for good. Hope you enjoyed. See you next week. Peace.